What if every careless word you spoke added a physical weight to your shoulders? A passing comment, a sharp joke, a thoughtless critique. Each one a small, invisible stone placed in a sack you carry every day. At first, you wouldn't notice. But what would happen over years as the stones piled up, one by one? This is a story from the archives of Gift of the Mage, about a prince who was gifted in all things but one, the art of kindness. His words were as sharp and brilliant as polished steel, but he would soon discover that while steel can build a kingdom, its sharp edge can also sever the most precious bonds, leaving a ruler utterly alone. His journey begins not with a quest for a dragon, but with the deafening silence left behind by those he drove away. In the grand kingdom of Astoria, Prince Lysander was the jewel of the court. He was intelligent, decisive, and possessed a wit that could charm a visiting diplomat or cut a rival down to size in a single sentence. But his wit, like an untamed fire, often burned those closest to him. He considered it honesty. They considered it a burden. Peragan, the people seem particularly cheerful today, Your Highness. The market was buzzing this morning. It's good to see the kingdom so prosperous. Lysander wipes his mouth with a napkin, a faint smirk on his lips. Prosperity brings cheer, parry. But so does honesty. In a world drowning in false flattery, a single true word is a lifeline. People appreciate it. Peragan, indeed they do. Speaking of which, I noticed Edmund's new garden designs have been removed from the courtyard display. Lysander, have they? Perhaps our head gardener finally realized his vision for a symmetrical paradise looked more like a child's messy geometry lesson. It was a chaotic mess of hedges and misplaced fountains. I told him as much yesterday. You'll see, he will start over and improve. It was for his own good. Peragan, I see. And have you noticed Lady Rosment's absence today? Wasn't she scheduled to perform after the meal? Her voice has become a highlight of court life. Lysander, yes. She sends her regrets. Apparently, she's feeling unwell. Peragan, nothing serious, I hope. Her health is so vital to her gift. Lysander, I suspect it's a matter of the spirit rather than the body. I offered her some constructive feedback after her last performance. I pointed out that her high notes were becoming rather strained, almost a shriek. An artist must be able to handle critique to grow. It seems her spirit is more fragile than her vocal cords. Chef, Your Highness, I've prepared a new dessert. A honey mousse with candied almonds, a creation of my own. Lysander, interesting. A bold effort. Though, isn't it rather over-decorated? It looks less like a dessert and more like a desperate cry for attention. A simpler presentation would allow the flavors to speak for themselves. Take it back. Simplify it. This was the prince's way. He saw flaws and felt it his duty to point them out, believing he was sharpening his kingdom and its people. He never saw the wounds his words left behind. The true test of his reign and his friendships was yet to come. Peragan, Your Highness, the northern provinces of Caloria continue to express grievances about water access from the Asia River. Tensions are escalating. If we agree to their proposal to share the river basin and establish a joint commission, we can de-escalate the situation and build a foundation for lasting peace. It's a matter of effective communication and shared resources. Lysander, a commission? More pointless talk while their soldiers continue to build fortifications along our border? You see diplomacy, parry, I see a stalling tactic. Peragan, the diplomatic approach would allow both sides to step back without losing face. It's a path to a solution without bloodshed. Conflict would devastate both kingdoms, our farmers, our merchants. Lysander, his voice turns cold and sharp, cutting through the room, so we simply yield? We give them what they want and call it finding common ground? Is that your grand solution? Pathetic compromise? Peragan, not yielding, Your Highness. Strategizing, cooperating. Lysander, this is precisely why you will never be more than a shadow in this court, Peragan. No backbone. No vision. You speak of peace, but you lack the strength to secure it. I believe in strength. The discussion is over. Send word to General Valerius. We will double the garrison at the border by week's end. A word once spoken cannot be unheard. For Peragan, the prince's dismissal was not just another sharp remark. It was the last stone in a sack that had become too heavy to carry. Laura, Your Highness. Just the person I wish to see about the grain reports from you. Lysander, later Laura. Have you seen Lord Peragan this morning? He's uncharacteristically late for the morning briefing. Laura, that's just it, Your Highness. His chambers are empty. The bed wasn't slept in. And the stable master reported that his horse, Orion, was taken from the stables before dawn. Lysander, gone? What do you mean gone? Laura, this was left on his desk, Your Highness. Addressed to you. Lysander, he's left the court. Resigned his position. Laura, did something happen yesterday, Your Highness? Lysander, his closest friend. Since we were boys. Gone without a farewell. 2 weeks passed. The court felt hollow. Peragan's absence was a void that could not be filled. Projects stalled, diplomatic wires were crossed, and the easy camaraderie he fostered was replaced with a tense formality. Lysander grew more and more agitated. Lysander, this is ridiculous. 20 years of friendship, and he leaves over a single disagreement? He's behaving like a petulant child. The letter said he felt his usefulness had ended. Utter nonsense. Lysander, prepare my horse, and a pack for 3 days. Guard, Your Highness? With the border situation, is it wise to? Lysander, this requires a personal touch. I'll find him. A simple apology, a reminder of his duty, and everything will be as it was. People are so terribly sensitive these days. And so Prince Lysander rode out, not on a quest for redemption, but on a mission of retrieval. He believed he was going to fix a problem, failing to understand that he was the problem. The journey would become his classroom, and the lessons would be harsh. Lysander, Lady Rosment, what a surprise. Rosment, Your Highness. This is unexpected. Lysander, I'm searching for Lord Peragan. I was told he may have passed this way. Rosment, I have not seen him, Your Highness. Lysander, so this is what you do now? Teach music to village children? After holding such a prestigious position at the royal court? Rosment, they appreciate the art. They find joy in the effort, not just the perfection. Lysander, but why abandon your career, your future? Rosment, I prefer to find an audience that enjoys the music for what it is, rather than faulting it for what it isn't. Lysander, I don't understand. Your talent was celebrated at court. Rosment, was it, Your Highness? Or was it merely another ornament for you to inspect for flaws? I recall a different assessment of my strained and shrieking high notes. Lysander, that small comment? Surely you didn't leave because of that. Artists need criticism to improve. It's part of the craft. Rosment, an artist needs encouragement to flourish, Your Highness. There is a world of difference between a mentor offering private guidance and a prince publicly declaring your best effort a failure. Your words didn't challenge me to be better. They made me afraid to try at all. The power of words is a delicate thing. You can build a person up or tear them down with the same breath. I chose to find a place where my breath could be used to create joy. Rosment, if you'll excuse me, Your Highness, my students await. Lysander, an overreaction, clearly. I was helping her, wasn't I? The first encounter left a crack in the prince's armor of certainty. As he rode east, following the trail Peragan had left, each stop on his journey would chip away another piece, revealing the vulnerable man beneath. Lysander, Sir Derek, is that you? What in the world are you doing here? You were the finest captain the Royal Guard has ever known. Young soldier, Sir Derek lost his voice in service, Your Highness. An old wound from the Oak Haven skirmish. It comes and goes, but up here, the mountain air makes it worse. He communicates with a slate. Derek Slate. Welcome, Your Highness. How may I serve? Lysander, I'm searching for Lord Peragan. Has he passed this way? Derek Slate. 3 days ago, heading east toward the monastery. He seemed troubled. Lysander. Finally, a clear heading. He looks at Derek, he's being dramatic. It was a simple misunderstanding between friends. He pauses, looking at Derek's throat. When exactly did you lose your voice? I don't recall this. Derek Slate. It grew progressively worse after the Griffin Peak incident. Lysander frowns, remembering the Griffin Peak incident. Ah yes, I may have been direct about your handling of that ambush. But surely my tactical analysis didn't. Derek Slate. You called my strategy a coward's retreat in front of my entire command. A captain's authority is his greatest weapon. You disarmed me in front of my men. Words have consequences on the battlefield, Your Highness. My voice may have failed, but my will to lead did not. I serve where I am most useful and where my leadership is respected, not undermined. Lysander, I was pointing out a tactical error. Any commander worth his salt must be able to handle criticism. That is one of the most basic leadership skills. Derek Slate. The mountain air suits me, Your Highness. Lysander, Sir Derek was the finest swordsman in the kingdom. Before he let sensitivity override his duty. But even as he spoke the words, they tasted like ash in his mouth. He rode on, the silence of the mountains echoing the silence he had created in his own court. His next stop would not be with a soldier or an artist, but with a family whose life he had unknowingly shattered. Master Bertram, it's all right, little one. It's just water. Accidents happen. We will simply clean it up together. Bertram, why your? Sir, this is unexpected. Lysander, Master Bertram. I hardly expected to find you running an inn. When did you leave the palace, and why? I was never informed. Bertram, we left after the autumn feast, sir, when the Eastern delegation was visiting. After they mix up with the seating arrangements. We've built a good, quiet life here. Please. Lysander, but I simply pointed out the protocol error. Standards must be maintained, especially with foreign dignitaries present. It was a matter of state. Bertram, 20 years of loyal service to your family, sir, without a single formal complaint. You called me an incompetent fool before the entire court and our esteemed guests. You said my family name would be synonymous with failure. Humiliation is a stain that is not easily washed away, sir. We could no longer serve with our heads held high. Lysander, why is your child looking at me like that? Bertram, children remember, sir, especially the words spoken by powerful men. They remember the tears they saw on their mother's face. Besides, you are looking for Lord Peragan, I presume? He passed through yesterday. He stayed for dinner. He seemed at peace. He said he was going to the monastery of silent texts. Lysander, thank you for the information, Master Bertram. The palace. The palace lost a fine butler. Little girl, is the sharp-tongued prince gone, Mama? Lysander arrived at the monastery of silent texts, a place of quiet contemplation nestled in a hidden valley. Here, there were no titles, no crowns, only the rustle of parchment and the low murmur of scholars. He found Peragan in a vast library, surrounded by ancient scrolls. Peragan, you found me then. Lysander, you didn't make it easy. Peragan, it wasn't meant to be a challenge, Lysander. It was a departure. Lysander, all this wisdom, your counsel, and you're hiding it in a library? The kingdom needs you. Peragan, I am not hiding. I am translating. There is a difference. Here, my words build bridges to the past. In your court, they were merely stones for you to kick aside. Lysander, I have come to bring you home, Perry. Peragan, I am home, Lysander. Lysander, because of one argument? one harsh word in a moment of stress. Peragan, your words that day weren't a surprise. They were just the final, clearest expression of something I had felt from you for years. It wasn't one cut, Lysander. It was 1,000 small cuts. A comment about my soft nature here, a joke about my preference for diplomacy there, a constant dismissal of my counsel in front of others. It was the slow, steady erosion of respect. Others pretended not to notice, but friendship cannot survive on pretense. Lysander, that was just banter between friends. My way. Peragan, was it? Or was it your truth, finally spoken so plainly that even I could no longer ignore it? Lysander, I didn't realize the weight of it all. Peragan, I know. And that, my friend, is the heart of the problem. Lysander, I apologize then. Truly, for all of it, for everything. Please, come back. Peragan, I forgave you long ago, Lysander. Forgiveness is for my own peace. But forgiveness and trust are not the same thing. Trust, once broken by 1,000 small cuts, cannot be mended with a single thread of apology. Lysander, what would you have me do? My honesty may be blunt, but the truth is better than false flattery. Peragan, honesty without tact is simply cruelty, Lysander. You wielded truth like a club when it should be offered as a guiding light. Your words are like arrows. Once they leave the bow, they can never be called back. They either strike a target or they strike a heart. Lysander, the kingdom needs your counsel. I need it. Peragan, perhaps the kingdom needs voices different from your own. Ones you will finally learn to truly hear. Peragan, I have been translating this text. I finished it last night. It's called The Weight of Words. It is my parting gift to you. There once ruled a king whose words fell like stones upon his subjects. The Mage of his realm, seeing the sorrow in the kingdom, enchanted the king's crown. Each time the king spoke a word of needless cruelty or careless criticism, the crown grew heavier. At first, he barely noticed. But as he continued his habit of hasty, cutting speech, the crown became an unbearable burden, forcing him to his knees. Only when he learned to listen more than he spoke, to weigh his words with empathy, and to speak with the intent to build rather than break, did the crown begin to lighten, one kind word at a time. Lysander, if only I had been slower with my words. Peragan, your path leads back to the throne, Lysander. Perhaps as a different kind of ruler. Lysander, how? How do I start? Peragan, by listening. Not just waiting for your turn to speak, but truly listening. With your heart. Narrator, Prince Lysander returned to his kingdom. There were no grand proclamations. Instead, there was a quiet change. He began to practice the difficult art of listening. Edmund, and so, sire, I'm incorporating elements of the classical style with some innovations in irrigation and symmetry. Lysander, he opens his mouth to comment on a slightly crooked flower bed, then stops himself. He takes a breath. Thank you, Edmund. I confess I don't fully understand the intricacies, but I want to. This is your domain of expertise, not mine. Tell me more about your reasoning for the irrigation channels. Edmund, why, thank you, Your Highness. Well, it starts with, Cyrus, my king, if the tax collection could be delayed until after the harvest, my village would be safe from ruin. The late rains have. Advisor, that's absurd. You can't just. Lysander holds up a hand, his voice calm but firm. I'm sorry. That was unfair. Please, go on, Master Cyrus. Before I make any decision, I need to understand your village's situation completely. Advisor, that was different, my king. Lysander touches the crown on his head, a faint smile on his lips was it. Advisor, you listened. Truly listened. Lysander, I'm trying. The crown, it seems, is finally growing lighter. And so, Prince Lysander came to be known throughout the lands, not as the silver-tongued prince, but as Lysander the listening king. He learned that the greatest strength of a leader is not in the sharpness of his tongue, but in the openness of his ears, and that the true power of words is measured not by their wit, but by their wisdom and their warmth. A lesson for all of us from the gift of the Mage. If this story of transformation resonated with you, please consider showing your support by giving this video a like. And to ensure you don't miss our future tales of wisdom and wonder, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you for listening.